Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I want to talk about something that's come up in play for me a few times recently, and I've encountered it throughout my gaming life. It's something that can be a little nuanced and can sometimes cause a little bit of confusion. So I wanted to talk about it just a teeny bit. And that's the idea of the Game Master sharing information with the players through non-player characters. Sometimes we can misunderstand what the Game Master is getting at. There's a really good piece of advice where you show, don't tell the players. You also, as a player, you show and don't tell the Game Master, but that's a different discussion. The idea being, as a Game Master, you can tell players things like, well, that's too far, that's out of range, you're never going to be able to hit that. Your character simply can't. Or you can tell them, well, this looks like this, or you've heard something else. You kind of tell them. Or what you can do is show them through the non-player characters. A non-player character can, as you're attempting to shoot some, airplane at some airplane or some other object, he's like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to hit that. That's way, way out of range. You've taken the onus, or you made it less artificial by simply saying, well, you simply can't hit that. That's too far. You've had some other person voice that to the character. You've shared information that way. Here's where sometimes you can run into a misunderstanding. And I think we ran into a misunderstanding the other day. So let me explain. There was a moment where a character wanted to take a shot at this dirigible. And so they took up their rifle and they're going to take a shot at it. The character had a long shot talent. They were able to ignore range penalties for a good amount of distance. So they were much more likely to hit this thing. One of the non-player characters grabs the rifle and says, no, don't shoot. Now the intention of this character, this non-player character, was simply that they did not want to attract or more attention. They did not want the Nazis to start, raining down a hail of bullets. That's what was going through my head. But it's possible that the player may have misinterpreted that as me, the Game Master, saying, no, you can't do that, or no, you shouldn't do that. Putting up some kind of boundary as this is unacceptable behavior, if you see what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to do that with players. But I believe in a case like that, there's a time to stop the game. A game like Tech Noir will tell you to flat out say, you're doing that wrong. You're not playing Noir right, all that sort of stuff. Different conversation. But sometimes people are playing outside of the genre, playing against the social contract, all that sort of thing. And I think there's tons of discussion I've had and other people have had on YouTube and the internet about that. And that's a whole different rabbit hole we can go down. But here's where, sometimes you have to be careful as a player not to misinterpret the actions and the words of the non-player characters being the actions or the words or the desires of the Game Master. Part of my responsibility as a Game Master, and your responsibility as a Game Master when you do it, is to inhabit all these other people. They have real motivations, they have real goals, they have real fears and desires and all that sort of stuff. And so make them act, act in character for them, just as a player you would act in character with your character. What would they do? I always think of, what would this guy do? This guy just simply did not want the aggravation and to attract undue attention. So, that was one of those interesting moments where I wondered, did the player misinterpret that as me, the Game Master, telling them, no, you can't or you should not do that? And I think as players, it's important too to look out for stuff like that and to ask some clarifying questions every once in a while. Hey, is that what you're really saying? I suppose as a Game Master sometimes you need to stop and say, you realize this is just this character. I'm not saying you can't do that. Actually, I think it'd be kind of cool. I actually kind of hope they opened fire on the Zeppelin, to be honest with you. I wanted to see what would happen. I was actually frantically paging through the rules, wondering what happens if you shoot a Zeppelin. So, anyhow, that was just something that I thought about yesterday as I was on a hike, wondering how often that happens in a lot of games that I've played in and ran. Where we might have misinterpreted the actions of non-player characters as being the voice of the Game Master telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, all that sort of stuff. Another fascinating subject, a nuanced thing that comes up as we also endeavor to show and don't tell through these same non-player characters. So, anyhow, food for thought. What do you think about all that?